Hello everybody, welcome to the Batcolyte. Go ahead and tap the screen, share the live. We'll be getting started very soon. I'll be taking guests in just a moment. When I do, I'm looking for somebody who has a belief in a god or gods or a higher power or really anything like that and is capable of questioning that belief. if that sounds like you, if you have a belief in a God or anything like it, and you can question that belief, then go ahead and request on up. I'm not looking to debate you or argue. I'm not looking to tear you down or insult you. I don't want to make you look like a fool or burgle your God. I just want to know, if you can question your beliefs, then what is it that you believe? And why do you believe it? Is it a challenge? That's a good question, Lion King. I don't know. But I would prefer you didn't spam or even, caps lock your comments. Either or. Exactly, Witty. Thank you. But if anybody watching does have a belief in a God or gods, a higher power, or anything like that, you're capable of questioning that belief, then go ahead and request on up. Yeah, I'm not looking to tear anyone down. I'm not looking to burgle gods. I am just looking to see if you can honestly question your beliefs. If that's something that you're capable of. I think most people are capable. Maybe that's a little bit of a... I wonder if it's something that you're willing to do. And if you're not, why not? Does the absence of willingness mean an incapability? Are you disabling yourself from critical thought if you can't question what it is you believe? Namaste says if they are willing or able, is there a goal? But the exercise is the goal. Not necessarily some expected result. Not some, final finish line. Perhaps namaste. Perhaps that is. I think we have a couple of requests. At least one of them's likely to be not a ghost. We'll see. We'll see how corporeal they are here in just a moment. Let me swap out our background. I think that's something we're missing. To trade him in for the questions. And before we do best, I do want to thank everybody for getting us up to 8,000 likes. Appreciate everybody tapping the screen. Sharing the live out also helps get us out to the FYP of anybody who's potentially curious enough or courageous enough to question their beliefs. But thank you all for all of that. And also, big thank yous to, I see KD, Danny Grax, also Philly Red, Birdies, and Saharina. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate all of you. I really do. I think now we might be ready to bring up a guest. Let's see who's still in the queue.
What's up?
Hello, Wave. Can I get your age for TikTok TOS?
30 years old.
And do you have a belief in a god or gods, a higher power, or anything like that?
Do God the Father, Christ the Son.
And have you read your Bible from beginning to end?
I read enough of it. I don't like reading.
How much is enough?
Enough to have a relationship with Him, connection, spiritually.
A relationship connection with him. Do you believe the stories that you have read from the Bible to be true?
Yeah.
So the stories like the 6-day creation or Adam and Eve, those are true stories?
Yeah, I believe some of it's true, like maybe some of it's not completely accurate, but I get the gist.
Some of it's not accurate. Does that mean some of it's false?
Yeah, maybe the devil snuck some shit in.
So maybe the devil snuck some shit in?
Yeah, Lucifer.
How would you know the difference between what is God's word and what the devil snuck in?
He could tell me, he could literally talk to me and I can hear him. Actually, it's been happening today.
I'm sorry, you're saying that you can hear the voice of God?
Yeah, in Christ. It's been happening
How do you know
today.
How do you know the voice you're hearing is God's?
I'm extremely psychic. I can hear the dead.
What does that mean?
Sky Daddy? Yeah, I like that term, Sky Daddy.
I didn't say anything about Sky Daddy.
That was the comments. I was reading the comments.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to hang out in the comments and have a conversation in the comments. But yeah, since you're not actually engaging with the questions I'm asking and you're just gonna read the comments, that's fine. You can do that down there. If you are hearing voices that you haven't heard before, I would recommend seeking professional help. Talk to somebody. That's fascinating. I don't know what that has to do with our conversation, Wave, so congratulations. Why don't you come back and let us know how that goes for you. Hello, Gestaro. Can I get your age for TikTok TOS?
Yes, I'm 31.
And do you have a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything like that?
Well, I'm actually on the fence about that. About the belief in like a deity specifically.
You're on the fence about the belief in a deity?
Yes, sir. Like the belief in a source of creation, like a thinking mind out there in the universe. So, wanted to stop by and question that a little bit.
Sure. So, the thing you're on the fence about is whether or not some thinking mind created everything or not.
Yeah, or even whether a thinking mind created something or not, or just simply that whether one like exists, like the possibility of a god being out there, and even if it's a god that had nothing to do with our creation, but just the existence of one specifically.
What would be a god if it's not a creator?
Just a what's it called? Just a divine being that, like, you know, is beyond what humans can do. So, for example, like, it could still be a creator of sorts, but not necessarily like one that created humans or even created this earth, but just a divine being that exists in the universe, like, at all.
So, a divine being, something. What would make it divine?
I guess with the ability to do things that would go beyond, I guess, the natural. Like, you know, for example, like to where like it could hold a cup of fire, like with no need of any, you know, anything natural. Like there's no natural explanation, but just to be able to cast you know, unexplainable things, like even just the simple, like, you know, how humans cannot fly but it could fly. I'm actually having trouble finding examples off the top of my brain though.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is?
Well, there are things that I have fathomed, you know, about what, like, if I were to meet a deity, like what that would look like and what kind of properties they would possess. So I even question that, and it's just I'm not currently convinced that there is anything like a superhuman being or like a spirit per se, but I still question the possibility of it, of the existence of that.
What is it that leads you to believe that it could be possible?
Well, I guess that would stem from my belief. So have you and do I pronounce it Thrayle?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Have you heard of possibilianism?
What is that?
So, possibilianism is actually, it's like a philosophical stance that was coined in by an American neuroscientist named Dr. David Eagleman. And it's basically like anything goes at first. So to acknowledge that there are possibilities in this existence, like for example, like Christianity once upon a time was a possibility for me. Like I was even Christian for 10 years, and that seemed like a verifiable possibility. I mean, then I continued to study it, and I personally rejected that path. But possibilianism is basically like having an open mind regarding the vast and untested possibilities of reality, the cosmos. It's basically like, you know, just kind of like a sort of agnostic.
Being open to the possibilities that seem possible. As long as they seem possible.
Yes, but there is grounding that is needed too, because I can't just be, it's not, I don't feel it is wise to be too open-minded to where it's just like, yeah, anything's a possibility. It's like, that's why like the need of investigation is there. Or I guess I have the desire of investigation because, you know, it's to just consider anything's possible and all ways are possibly the right way. It just doesn't sit well with me. So I call myself a possibilian, and that's actually the belief.
You call yourself a possibilian or a possibilionist, or are you a possibilioner?
I mean, tomato in the end. You know, there's probabilian, but I like possibilian, and that honestly just spoke to me. As like, you know what, I do like to consider possibilities and have an open mind about things.
Would it make you possibilianish, or are you Is it possibilianity? Like
possibilianity? Oh man.
Is it just plays on possibility?
Right. It is pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, it is
Sithioda asks if you could be a possibilionaire. I'm really quickly gonna make sure I thank Toad Modu, Danny Grax, Birdies, and KD for helping with the previous goal. Thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate you. Justaro, so you just leave yourself open to the possibilities that seem possible. The ones, at least, not just anything that someone says is possible, but the things that you can scrutinize to seem possible.
Yes.
Okay.
Have you,
I would ask then, what is it that indicates to you? Yeah, I would ask then, what it is that indicates to you that a godlike being is possible?
Well, it is that's a fun one. I leave it open to the possibility of discovering a higher being, a deity, or even just a higher reality. I leave it open even though I'm not convinced that one exists. So for example, I am not convinced currently, but if we did one day find like a higher being, a god, present themselves and prove in multiple different fashions of evidence that they were in fact a divine being, a god, and then I could be convinced. So that's why I leave it open, but I have the stance that one
question
does not
though
exist.
was right. You do have the stance then that one does not exist.
Correct.
Why do you have that stance?
I have not found any sufficient evidence to support that. and I've gone on a journey of investigating, and I have not investigated everything, of course, but
What might convince you that a god exists?
it would have to be, because I enjoy that question, actually, because some people say, oh, well, they would have to do this one thing, but I'm like, I want to dig a little deeper. I would like to be presented with multiple irrefutable evidence points to where it can be independently verified by minds outside of my own. So it would take a lot.
Can you think of any of the multiple evidence points that you would look for?
Yes, sir. So, I guess doing like showing me something that I could not currently fathom. Like, for example, like if this god appeared out of the sky and floated down in front of me, as just a small example. But then I was like, okay, so you can do that, but I could just be hallucinating. And it's like, okay, and then he, she, they, however the god would identify it, I don't know. But also, like, take me up to space and have me like breathe in space, just do some things that I know that humans cannot currently do. It would take a lot of convincing, and to be where like other people could experience this and other people could verify that, okay, this is beyond human understanding, and this being definitely does seem higher. And also, it'd have to be multiple. I can't even think of more, but yeah.
If a god took you up to space and let you breathe, or exist without breathing, would that be enough for you to worship it, or would you need something more?
Oh, hell no. Because worship would be a different thing. People have asked me, hey, if we prove that the God of the Bible was real, if we prove that Christianity was real, would you be a Christian? And I would say, well, I'd have a lot of questions, because if everything from my understanding happened in the Bible, like, I would definitely need a little bit of interrogating, because I'd say, yeah, that God exists, but I want nothing to do with it if it's going to be like that, and it's not worthy of worship in my personal opinion.
What kind of god might be worthy of your worship?
Oh, worship is a funny thing too, huh? So with worship, let's see. Okay, yeah, so I would have to have it proven to me that this god actually had creation in general in its best interest. And that can be a hard pill to swallow too, because it's like, I would want to express reverence or adoration for this deity if it could be proven that this deity was one of compassion, like one of humility and integrity. And it's like, I can't be like, well, hey, there's a God exists. Okay, I worship you. I bow down to you. I don't know you. I would need to get to know you, and it would need to prove to me over time that it is worthy of worship. Just by having traits like the ones I just mentioned.
So power alone is not enough for you to worship?
No. That doesn't interest me. Like, might makes right. I don't care about that. Like, I care if it's genuine, honest, and leads its deity life with the compassion and actually showing that it cares about the well-being of life, not just human life, but also just plant life and the animal life. Yeah.
Does it matter to you if a God exists or not?
No. And the same goes for if there's an afterlife or not, or if there's anything beyond this. But the possibility will continue to exist for me. But convincing is a different structure, of course.
I don't know that I have any more questions for you, Justara. I appreciate you coming up and answering the questions you did. I think I'm going to move forward and look for a believer, but I hope that you find whatever answers you're looking for. It doesn't seem like you're looking too hard for a God. But if you do come across one, definitely bring it back, and I'm going to question whatever.
This will be the first place I go. Oh man, and I appreciate you having me. I've actually been pretty nervous about coming up here, so I appreciate you having me.
You did fine. Appreciate you, Justara. I hope you keep asking questions.
Thank you. Until next time.
Absolutely. And we can get some big W's in chat for Justara. He can question his beliefs, for as much as it matters to him for a God to exist. And I hope he keeps asking questions. And maybe you can question your beliefs. Maybe you have a belief in a God, or gods, or higher powers, or anything like that. And maybe you can request on up. If you can, well, you know where the request button is. Either the box down below me or the pink and blue people next to your chat box. Before I do bring up the next guest, though, I need to make sure I thank Toad Modu, Danny Grags, Birdies, and KD for helping with the previous goal. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you. And I see a couple of ghosts in the queue. I'm going to work my way through in the order I think you requested. But do stick around if you're there. Hello, Ty. Can I get your age for TikTok TOS?
I'm 18.
What year were you born?
2007.
Do you have a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything like that?
I don't currently, but I'm similar to your previous guest. I'm open to the idea of a supernatural reality. I don't believe in a personal god, though.
Why don't you believe in a god?
Classical philosophical arguments like problem of evil, divine hiddenness, and the scale of the universe makes me think it's unlikely, but I can't rule it out completely.
What might convince you or compel you to believe in a god?
I think a personal experience would be super convincing. Some form of philosophical reasoning or a miracle would probably suffice.
Sorry, you're saying you can be compelled by philosophical reasoning to believe that there is a God?
I think it would, if there was some sort of argument that proved God, I think that would definitely help convince me.
Is there any reason you can think of now to believe that a God might exist?
I mean, the classic, why is there something rather than nothing? First cause, like, what caused the universe?
Do you think that it requires cause?
Not necessarily, but again, I mean, I'm open to the idea, and I don't really see evidence towards why it would. But if there was, I think if we could find out that we needed a cause, then I would be more convinced in the God.
Can you think that if a God was proven to you to exist or be necessary to exist, that you would want to discover the nature of that God and devote yourself to it or worship it?
Yeah, I mean, I would certainly be interested in its nature. It might be outside of human comprehension, of course. If I was somehow able to convince myself it was worthy of worship by its somehow just nature or something, I think I would worship it.
Does it matter to you if a God exists or not?
Yeah, that's a fascinating question. I think I have like a natural instinct to figure that out. It seems to be a super important question. I think it would probably matter at some level, probably not if they're impersonal, but if it's a personal God, then it would matter to me to make a connection. But I don't think there's a personal God, so total no if it's impersonal.
Is there any kind of God or deity that you would want to exist?
Yeah, if there was a God that, had created a heaven, then I would certainly prefer that to having nothing after death.
You want for an eternal afterlife?
I feel like that would be nice, but I mean, I've heard, of course, of people saying like eternity would suck.
What kind of afterlife would you actually want?
That's a great question. Some form of, even just life like this forever would be, maybe it wouldn't be nice, maybe it would, if I had some sort of rebirth cycle where I could, eternally be reborn and live another life would be great. Or the classical version of, heaven would be, nice.
What is the classical version of heaven?
Yeah, that's also a good question. I mean, some people define it as just being close to God or being with God. I would see that as like a lack of suffering and a presence of well-being and what's preferred forever.
Just a presence of what is preferred forever.
Yes, if what you want. Yeah.
And to you, that is preferable to non-existence.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be nice. Maybe that's somewhat childish, but I think most people are compelled by that at some level.
if you were faced with a deity who promised you that afterlife, if only you would obey it, would you want to obey the deity for that reward?
I think so, as long as it, yeah, I think I would. Maybe
You
that's
say
just
as long as it, you started to give like a caveat, as long as it, but then you stopped. Is there some limitation to what you would do for a deity that promised you the ideal afterlife?
It's a difficult question, right? Like, is there something that's, finite that's worth an infinite future or something like that? I think if you look at it logically, there's like no finite thing that would be worse than an infinite something else. I think so, yeah. I think if it, yeah.
Are you saying that based on logic, that if commanded by a god to commit an atrocity in a finite existence, it would make sense to do that?
It would.
Reward?
I think I would not do it, but it might be metaphysically preferable for my personal well-being. But maybe the terrors of doing that would erase that pleasure. But maybe that's, what I was reasoning would be that would be less than an eternal heaven.
I wonder if there's a certain flaw to maintaining logical consistency, even in the face of something like that.
I think that's possible, but it's like hard to compare, like a finite and infinite. But on the scale of my personal pleasure, I don't know if that'd be something bad enough in a finite sense to overrule infinite. Infinite's, just obviously huge.
Well, it's certainly honest, Ty. I don't know that I have very many more questions for you, but I do appreciate you coming up and answering the ones you did.
I appreciate your time.
I hope you keep asking questions, and if you do find some firm answers, bring them back. I want to question those as well. And we can, definitely throw W's in chat for Ty, even though I think if I understood and if I had pushed that line of questioning, we probably could have gotten some regrettable answers in the name of logic. I wonder if that's something that he should question. Halfway W, right? Halfway W, because he basically said he'd do the atrocities ordered by a god if given the evidence, but thank goodness he doesn't believe in a god. A V instead of a W. Base got slippy, giving him a V for victory. Yeah, Casey, I didn't want to press it too hard, but I think we exposed just enough for him to consider where that could go. And who knows, maybe he's fine with that, as long as he's logically consistent. But I know there are more people in the queue, likely a believer or two. And before I get to them, I want to thank everybody for 24,000 likes. Thank you guys so much for tapping the screen. And also all the shares. Thank you guys for sharing the live out. If you haven't already, hit the bent little arrow down at the bottom right corner of your screen. You can do that. You can copy the link or share the live out to a friend or even add it to your story. or repost. But I thank all of you guys for doing that. My day was pretty good, Modu. I slept very well. And spent most of the evening with my wife, having a pleasant, more than pleasant evening, enjoying each other's company. So, probably making up for me sleeping through most of Valentine's Day. Music is a little loud. Okay, Kat. Appreciate you. I can knock that down a notch. Maybe somewhere around there. Not commit the atrocity you were exploring your philosophy. Understood. That's why I didn't want to push too hard. I don't think you were trying to say you would. I feel like it was a bit of a logical trap, and I didn't mean to put your foot in it. Though it was curious, the response, and I wonder where it could go. I recognize a couple of these names. I think one of them's probably moved on. Yeah, Ghost. Ghost did bring you up in just a moment. There he is.
Hey, good evening.
Hello, Calf. Can I get your age for TikTok TOS?
Yes, I'm 38.
And I know we've spoken before, but I'm going to ask some of the same questions. Do you have a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything like that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, a higher power. I prefer the term source.
What is source?
The transcendent spiritual intelligence that is the author of this reality.
The author of this reality. Transcendent. Why do you give these attributes to it?
Well, it seems that we exist in a finite system, and
Why do you say that?
Well, it just seems that everything here is temporary or transitional, and I'm conceiving of something that is not, but I don't have evidence for that, really just a belief.
So, I'm sorry, you're saying everything here is transitional? What do you mean by that?
That nothing's really eternal in the sense that it could be an eternal place we live in, but it just constantly transitions, shape and form, death and rebirth.
And you're saying that you believe something transcends that impermanence. Something is permanent.
Yes, if for no other reason than I can conceive of it in my mind.
Why should that something that is supposedly permanent be necessarily responsible for the creation or the existence of things and be a planner of any kind?
Well, I guess just going off the observation of the intelligence within the reality we live in, but I am ascribing that transcendence to it, but I
What
can't
do you mean
offer
by
proof.
intelligence?
Well, just the immaculate beauty of the system we live in, how well
What do
it's
you mean
put
by
together.
beauty?
We spoke on this. I don't expect you to remember because you speak to so many people, but an example is just the geometry of this place. And
What do you mean by geometry?
well, just found in nature, and
So just there are shapes in nature.
yeah, it doesn't seem accidental. It seems intentional.
How are you determining that it is intentional?
It just seems so well put together, and
Seems well put together. Rather than pick at everything you say, let me try to ask a different question to help. What is something that is not designed?
what is something that is not designed? Well, I think it's all designed. I can't. Nothing comes to mind.
So what is design?
An intentional blueprint for how reality renders and manifests in our perception, of which we are part of.
An intentional blueprint. So design is intention.
I would say so.
How do you determine the intention of the design of something like the human nervous system?
How would I determine the design of the human nervous system?
The intentionality. How do you determine that there is intentionality?
Well, the nervous system functions in a way that's useful for human beings. It has a purpose.
So it has a purpose and it functions. Is simplicity at all an indicator of design, or should the system be complex? Or does that matter? Does it to design?
Well, simplicity is valuable in communication, in art, but complexity exists, and but yeah, I find value in simplicity. I don't know if I'm answering that to your satisfaction.
If there was a nerve in your system, your nervous system, that ran from your throat to your brain by way of a circuitous path around your heart, your aorta, would that seem indicative of design or something else?
I don't know if this is correct. Are you speaking of the vagus nerve?
No. It's called the laryngeal nerve. This would be the end. And I'm going to get this wrong because I'm not a doctor. Anterior. Recurrent laryngeal nerve. Yeah, the anterior recurrent laryngeal nerve.
You're saying that like there's in our anatomy there's things that are not serving a advantage.
Mm-hmm. And they're present not just in our anatomy. So this same design, according to you, is also present in giraffes.
Yeah, there's flaws to it.
Is it indicative of design or something else?
Certainly, I feel like I hope this isn't taken off topic, but I think human beings are genetically altered, and that we are not. The human organism is not a perfect example of flawless design by any stretch.
How are we altered?
Well, let's take, for example, evolution.
What is evolution?
Well, macroevolution claiming that, human beings...
I'm sorry, what is macroevolution?
Like species to species, a jump between the two.
A jump between species. What is that?
Like a reptile to mammal. Yeah.
Do you think that's what evolution claims happens? That reptiles turn into mammals?
Over time, I think that's what it's claiming. There's a term called punctuated equilibrium where they, at least I've read this, it's been a long time, but that a divergence of species happens in small populations. Mutations happen faster in those small populations. So like a variation of mammals can happen quickly. Or at least that's the theory.
Do you think that the variation of mammals would suddenly turn into reptiles?
No. I guess from what I understand, that turns so quickly.
So what does that have to do with what we were saying about evolution? You were...
Well, I
You
think
brought up evolution, and then
human
made a
beings
distinction about macro, micro.
have a common ancestor in a hominid.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if it's true that we've only been around for 200,000 years, that our biodiversity is astounding in that amount of time. And that could be posited to a natural explanation, but it seems like we've been genetically upgraded.
Seems like how?
Well, I don't see an evolutionary advantage for being hairless and pale-skinned, or having exceptionally large brains that damage our mothers on our entrance into the world.
You don't see an advantage for large brains?
Well, like survival of the fittest, it's like we're hairless apes that are prone to our skin peeling in the sun, and our Asian and black and just the biodiversity of human skin tone all seems to happen very quickly on the evolutionary timescale.
Oh my. So, you're saying that, oh my, you're saying that somehow we were genetically engineered to have less hair and be susceptible to the sun.
And have much larger brains than our hominid ancestors.
What indicates genetic engineering was involved and not some other change?
Tying that into the possibility of, there's a term for it, seemingly like the nerve you mentioned, or the appendix, for example, where it's just like...
Are you talking about vestigial?
Vestigial, uh-huh.
The recurrent laryngeal nerve isn't vestigial. It still serves its purpose. It still does its job. It just does it in a less than efficient way.
I'm just one of those people that thinks, human beings have been altered genetically.
So where do you think this genetic alteration happened at? Like, when did this happen, maybe? Like, is it just our genus of like human hominid? Were like Neanderthals also genetically altered? Like, before that, after that? When do you think this happened?
Well, Terence McKenna has a theory that early hominids got involved with psychoactive substances that increased our brain size. And that could have possibly happened within the last 200,000 years.
So, like, where in the...
Is that the genetic alteration that you're talking about, though?
That would be a natural explanation. Certainly the Anunnaki is another explanation.
The Anunnaki. What are the Anunnaki?
Supposedly interdimensional beings that...
What is an interdimensional being?
They're interdimensional now. They used to just be aliens. Now they're interdimensional.
No. What is an interdimensional being? What does that mean?
Well, for example, all these UFOs that can seemingly pop in and out of reality and aren't bound to...
What UFOs have you observed popping in and out of reality?
I've observed one in my time. But other...
You've observed... Wait. You've observed a UFO popping in and out of reality?
Mm-hmm.
Can you elaborate? What was it you observed?
Yeah.
Well, I was on the 38th floor of a skyscraper in Denver, Colorado. And I witnessed what appeared to be two rectangles that were zigzagging in a shape that was odd, and then it would just completely disappear, and I would wait around and look for it, and then it popped up again, and then it would disappear out of sight.
How did you determine that this was a UFO popping in and out of reality?
Well, it's simply an unidentified flying object. Like if it is an actual mechanical device that's part of our government, it was not obeying the laws of physics, and it was.
Was it daytime or nighttime?
Dusk.
Dusk. Okay. Denver's pretty high up. There's a lot of clouds up there. Am I incorrect?
No, and in fact, there's been a lot of UFO sightings over Denver and California, like Mount Shasta, for example. And there's, also military folks going on record for saying, like, they have them on radar and then they disappear. And
yeah, it's shocking that the hippies in Shasta see a lot of UFOs, right? Yeah, it's just shocking. But there are a lot of visual obstructions in Denver. There's also a lot of like pollution. Like, I've been to Denver. I know what it looks like. And so is it possible that there was just an obstruction in your view, and what appeared to be something unidentified popping in and out of reality was just an obstructed object in the distance?
yeah, it could have been, but I don't think my claim is that unusual. I think there's lots of folks that have seen unidentified flying objects, but yeah, it's certainly possible.
Unidentified.
Some obstruction that, I'm not aware of.
An unidentified flying object. Why would you attribute that to something popping in and out of reality? Doesn't it sound like you're identifying it as interdimensional?
Yeah, I'm ascribing something to what I can't understand. Like, it blew my mind. So I was, I'm kind of giving it some description for something I don't know.
I'm still stuck on how you determined that it was popping in and out of reality.
Well, I did get a picture of it because I waited for it. Like, it was there, and then it would go away, and then it would go up and down.
Could it not be flying in circles? So there was a time when it wasn't on the side of the building that you were looking out the window of, and then it would come back around?
Quite possibly, but it ended with it shooting over the mountains at like a seemingly hyper speed.
What is a seemingly hyper speed? Like, how did you determine that?
Like, it was in stasis for a moment. It bobbed like horizontally in different directions, and then the exit I saw was just like the Millennium Falcon, just like just boom over the horizon. But I can't be the only one that has seen UFOs. I mean,
Sure. Why would you, like, why would your explanation for this be a UFO popping in and out of reality? Like, how did you get to that from this?
What was the question again?
How did you come to this conclusion?
I just saw something I couldn't explain. It just defied the laws of physics for me.
So okay, right, I get that. But, like, you see something you can't explain, and then you immediately think it must be a UFO popping in and out of reality? Like, how did we get from I can't explain this to it's a UFO popping in and out of reality?
Well, I don't claim to know anything beyond that. For all I know, it could be government technology.
Government.
Something more advanced than we're aware of, or familiar with as a public,
But okay, but, like, why did? But you think it was a UFO popping in and out of reality?
Yes, just based on other people's descriptions of it. It seems like
It was nothing unique. I think other people have witnessed similar things. And,
It was nothing unique. A UFO
No, everyday UFO popping in and out of reality.
just every day. Well, I mean, everybody's seen one. It's not unique. But I'm gonna mention it on a TikTok live as So it is a UFO.
I don't understand how either conclusion really was drawn.
But that it's possibly interdimensional or
It was weird. I don't know what it was.
yeah, I guess my brain was just like trying to defy natural law.
So why do you have the need to explain this away with fantastical thing grounding rather than just saying I don't know?
Well, and what I mean is not unique. Is that there's plenty of folks that have seen similar things to that description, and
It's not answering the question.
Well, I looked in.
into it afterwards because I was so puzzled by it, and then I kind of found similar, other people's accounts, and it matched up to mine.
Matched up to yours? What do you mean by that?
Just an object that can seemingly go in every which direction and come in and out of sight, and then.
Did you have this conclusion before you looked at these accounts, or did you draw the conclusion from them?
No, definitely afterwards, because I hadn't seen any to take a picture of it because it would pop in and out of sight. And so once it happened, I just started looking into, just going online and seeing if anyone else had experienced something similar.
Why is I don't know not a perfectly acceptable answer?
Well, ultimately, I don't know.
Right,
the
so
brain wants to make sense of something,
But I don't know.
so it's better to have these what things are than to just find a way to be okay with not knowing.
Well, I am okay with not knowing, but other people have had similar accounts, so it just kind of corroborates my experience. Not claiming to know what it is.
Do similar accounts of I don't know corroborate your experience, or could you all be experiencing different things
Oh, for sure we could.
and describing them in similar ways?
Yeah, for sure we could. There was even one theorist that postulated that they're not even physical objects at all, that it's kind of like a projection of consciousness. Something you want to see,
Something you conjure, hallucinate.
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
I mean, when it could be something as mundane as a piece of paper in the wind, or a floater in your eye, I suppose, until you get a picture of it.
Yeah.
Could all of these different, or could all of these stories be different things explained in similar ways until it sounds like you're all saying the same thing?
Yeah, and I mean that's not too unusual, right? The brain sees something that's seemingly illogical, and it's gonna kind of go hunt down the internet rabbit hole of was I crazy, or someone else experienced this too.
I once saw a demon. I don't believe in demons. But I was in my kitchen late at night once in my parents' house when I was in my 20s, early 20s, and looked out the back door, and it was late at night, and saw a face in the window, and the face was contorted and demonic and evil, and just as I started to panic, the door opened. My brother was standing there. He was fine, face not contorted. But I had been watching scary movies beforehand, prepped my mind for something scary.
Yeah, very, very much so. The mind is so powerful, you know, it can.
I wonder what I would think if I had screamed and my brother had turned and left instead of coming in the back door. If I had startled him in some way into running, would we both have thought we saw a demon?
Yeah, potentially so. But I get the feeling, you know, I appreciate the skepticism, but are these not possibilities? You know, aren't all these things possible? Like, or
I don't know. How have you determined that interdimensional or psychic projections or aliens visiting from other worlds, how have you determined the possibility?
I'm just open to all possibilities. I think there's a quote from John Lennon. This is a paraphrase of some kind, but he's like, I believe in fairies, every mythical creature. I think it's all possible. Until it's like, how can you prove it's not, you know? But that's certainly not a ground to like lay your stake on. But yeah, I think all things are possible, all supernatural events.
Why?
Well, if you've ever read Autobiography of a Yogi, he speaks on supernatural powers of Eastern mystics, like teleportation and
he speaks on things other people talk about. How does how does that indicate the possibility of those things?
I just believe they're possible, like levitation, and these things have been observed.
Right, so
Read Rapunzel, then I'll read about somebody climbing up the hair of a young woman and up a tower. Does that mean that's possible? If I read Cinderella, I'll read about a fairy godmother turning a pumpkin into a carriage. Will that mean it's possible?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's possible that I'm a brain in a jar, that all of this is just one singular brain in one singular jar floating through space, but does that mean it's likely?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, what's more likely?
I think we're brushing past possibility still. How have you determined this is possible? Is it just if it can be imagined, then you think it's possible?
Yes.
Why is that your measure of possibility?
I don't have a great reason for that, but I do think that. I think if it can be imagined, it could happen. The likelihood, that's another metric that's fair to ask.
I think it's one thing to say something like anything is possible. It's another thing to actually to examine the anything that's being proposed and measure it for possibility. Is that something you can even do? And if you can, then how do you measure the possibility of interdimensional aliens that only you happened to notice in downtown Denver that day?
Well, they show up in antiquity throughout artwork. That is something. Again, it just helps, you know.
They show up in antiquity throughout artwork. What do you mean they show up?
Unidentified flying objects, flying saucers, you know, the trope, kind of the Hollywood trope. But they're in Renaissance paintings, they're in hieroglyphics, they're in, a lot of these ancient cultures speak to the gods coming down and imparting knowledge. I'm no scholar, but I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility. I have no issue like believing in miracles, as it were, or the possibility of miracles.
Yeah, I've gathered you have no issue believing in possibilities of things. I'm just trying to understand how you determined that these were possible.
Yeah, the part of my brain that so many folks, have real struggle with, like believing in miracles, like religious or supernatural miracles. To me, I think they're all certainly probable. I think reality is malleable, and from my brief study of the occult and witchcraft, I think there's no hard and fast rules about what can or can't happen here, and it seems like our history kind of has many examples, and maybe it's because we all want to tell ourselves stories that comfort us, but does seem to be kind of replete throughout our mythologies and histories. And if for no other reason, I really like the idea that that all things are possible like that, that there are multiple dimensions. And
what is a dimension?
Just other realities other than this one. I like
What do you
that
mean by
possibility.
other realities?
Other universes, other worlds, other systems.
Why would there be a possibility?
Not enough to speak with any authority on it.
Do you think it's possible that in trying to leave room for the possible,
Yeah, perhaps. It's just a more expansive way. Saying things can't happen, or that there's hard and fast physical laws that prevent supernatural events from occurring. But likelihood is a fair, what Kat brought up, that's fair. Yeah. What is most likely?
how are you determining the likelihood of transdimensional beings or psychic projections?
I'm determining it based on other testimonies, other observations outside of myself.
Does anybody else have questions for Kaf? I'm not hearing Kaf actually question beliefs, and it's frustrating that he's just kind of, for me at least, Kaf, I'm not hearing you question anything. You're just kind of circuitously excusing everything with possibility and anecdotes from other people. And I don't know why you requested up here, except to just kind of say things.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm not claiming I'm right. I absolutely could be wrong.
What would it take to dispel these beliefs you hold?
I don't know if it could. Again, if I hold an open door position about everything being possible, then it's you know.
So you have no way to test these beliefs in a meaningful way that would falsify them. Is there any kind of falsifiability that would dismantle?
Yeah, I'm open to alternative explanations.
Have you sought any?
Like with the example of the UFO, the likelihood of that event, I think from what I've looked into it, the likelihood is that it's an advanced technology that's not available to the public yet.
The likelihood of the event you saw with a UFO. You said you caught a picture of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the picture was of what, a rectangle?
Yeah, two rectangles that were parallel to each other. Mm-hmm.
Two rectangles parallel to each other. What do you mean by that?
Like an illuminated TIE fighter from Star Wars, if you know what I'm speaking of.
Mm-hmm. So two rectangles like facing each other.
Parallel to each other.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, facing each other, I guess, yeah.
How did you determine this wasn't a kite, a drone, or simply some kind of art project, like a kite, pieces of paper?
Well, for one, the way it exited again was like light speed over the horizon. The way it ended was I was astounded. I was like that. I had no words. I had no frame of reference for that. Was certainly not expecting that.
You say it exited like light speed over the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Could that perception not have been due to scale?
Could have been
small and close, and moving quickly, seemed to move faster.
I presume this was daylight.
Evening, dusk time. Uh-huh.
Mm.
Were there any clouds in the sky?
There was one, and the picture I have, I don't know if I can upload pictures here.
No.
You can see the crescent moon behind the cloud, and then the rest of the sky is clear, and you can see the mountains, and you can see these two very well lit rectangles that are just zigzagging around. But I mean, absolutely huge. Like that's why I don't think it was a kite.
Is the picture in your camera roll right now on this phone, the device you're on?
Yes.
If you click on your profile picture, it may or may not let you click on the camera option. If it does, then you can turn on your green screen and go through your camera roll and show us the picture.
It's showing a video camera option and a microphone as the only options.
Yeah, click the video camera. And when you click that, a menu at the bottom should appear with a bunch of little pictures. Scroll all the way over until you see a little arrow, and click that arrow. It'll make them all bigger, and it'll open up menus. And one of those menus says green screen. Click green screen.
There's icons. One looks like a green screen icon, but no tag on.
It should work. And then it should give you an option to, if it's your first time, it should ask you for like permissions, but otherwise it should give you options to scroll through your images.
Yes. I am scrolling right now. It's only letting me go so far. I have it saved as my Facebook banner. I could try to download that.
Well, you could also, so yeah, it'll only let you scroll so far, but if you look to the left, there should be a plus sign, and that should take you to your gallery where you can search deeper.
Ooh. Yes. Hopefully it's here. I'm looking for it.
We lost cat.
Oh, okay. I have it. I have two pictures. One is a zoom in. Here is the broader one.
Once you pull it up, then you have to hit save at the bottom. There we go.
Okay, so we're seeing
You're seeing the horizon, and I don't know if you can see the crescent moon popping out at the top of that cloud, so you know that the object is not the moon. And I'll do a zoom in. I have another zoom in picture because that one's, it's far away. I'm looking for that now. Okay. So you can see the tip of the crescent moon, and then those two illuminated rectangles.
and you said you were on a 38th floor
Uh-huh.
of a building. This was through the window.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah. And
Should I tell him or should I, Everlasting?
what do you think it is?
It's your show, by all means.
Looks like a reflection on multiple panes of glass.
Yeah. So, if you're standing behind a window, then like any kind of light source could be reflecting on that. Could be your camera itself. So you saw the object just stationary in the sky, and you decided to grab your camera and you just took the stills? Is that what we're looking at here?
I did because it may not look that bright, but it was astoundingly bright. And then it went away. So the reason I had my camera out was just waiting for it to pop back into view. And then it did. Like it would just materialize and immaterialize and zigzagged around and like in a way that like it got my attention. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Is there a reason why you chose to take still shots instead of video?
Good question. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. I just wanted the reason being, I didn't think about taking the actual video, but it would just, I wanted to snap a photo because it would disappear. Like it just absolutely just went out of view, and like it was completely illuminated and then it turned off, and I was just waiting for it to turn on again.
I'm just thinking like capturing it on video with the movement, like you can't really capture that in a still. I would think the movement would be an important part of what you're trying to document.
Yeah, and if I had my wits about me in that moment, a video would have been a better move. Yeah.
I wonder if there's any possibility in your mind, Kath, that this is a light from the interior of the building you were in, reflecting on the glass. And if that would explain the erratic movement and the impossible exit.
Or even from outside, it could be just reflecting on the glass itself.
Even something from outside, that's entirely possible.
Yeah, I'm not discounting that. It could have been.
It does at least appear to me to be something similar to that, to be a reflection of light on panes of glass.
I mean, I could almost see something like that reflecting like a piece of chrome or a mirror shining what little sunlight is, like if the sun is still present, that at that kind of in between, or even if not a sun, then any other light source, like maybe a lamppost that's coming on, that's just shining onto a car
From
chrome.
the street below, yeah.
Yeah, and as the car drives away, that would, like if it's stationary and the light source is reflecting on that, reflecting onto the glass, and then it starts to drive away, that would give it the perspective, like Thrayle mentioned earlier, of passing over the horizon at light speed.
Yeah. Someone asking which building in Denver. It was the Grand Hyatt Hotel. And, absolutely, it could have been that. What I will say is that it was astoundingly bright. If it was a reflective surface, like a chrome, I mean, the picture doesn't do it justice. It was so bright. It was like enough for me to like go to the window, wait for it to reappear.
Yeah, to take notice and to watch for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you sharing it, Kath, and I appreciate you being open to questions about it, but yeah, it does not seem to be definitive proof of extraterrestrial visitation. It does seem like a unique picture. I'm glad you at least had the thought to pull out your camera and take a picture. And appreciate you sharing it with us. And now if you do get evidence that seems even more compelling, you know how to share it on a TikTok Live.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Cap, I want to believe.
Yeah.
You've got
yeah, well, I
sitting
appreciate
right next to you.
Again, I'm not hard and fast on what it was. But yeah, it should be challenged. It shouldn't be taken as one explanation. So, but yeah, it was nice talking with you.
I appreciate you, Gav. I hope that you keep asking questions, of course. And thank you for sharing that with us. I mean, I do thank you. I think more people should be open to sharing the evidences that they claim to have and being open to hearing alternative explanations. So I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, of course. Have a good one.
Likewise. W's for Calf. He can question it. It's just a little difficult.
Yeah, I think
questions. I think he likes the whimsy.
Yeah, I think you encouraged him a little bit by pushing him on that. I think that helped.
Absolutely. Thank you, Martha, for the dragon crown. Appreciate you. But yeah, I really appreciate him being open to questioning it. I see a couple in the queue. We're gonna go here next, but first.
Or Diet Vanilla Dr. Pepper Cherry, or Diet Dr. Pepper Cherry.
Well, we're not here to listen to your ads there, Will Chairlump. But if you did mean to be here, you can request backup. Before we do bring up our next guest, let me thank everybody for tapping the screen up 38,000 times. Appreciate that, really do, and all the shares too. Thank you guys for sharing the live, copying the link, adding to your story, or reposting. All those things really help. I know now I need a Dr. Pepper. Why do you have to do that?
Wait, did we just get capitalismed by a Russian ad bot?
We did, and I'm going to ignore it, even though I like Dr. Pepper, and I'm going to continue to enjoy my blueberry coffee, because that's where we are.
Apparently, Dr. Pepper is prune soda. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I was told.
I've heard that, and I absolutely don't care. I still enjoy it either way.
Despite its pruneness.
Right. If it is prune soda, well then apparently I like prunes. Prunes are delicious. Modu, I think a lot of early sodas were marketed as tonics, as cure-alls, or supplements. The coffee I buy is the store brand, whatever I can get my hands on.
Hello.
Hello, Mariana. Can I get your age for TikTok
20.
TOS? And do you have a belief in a god or god's higher power or anything like that?
Consider myself to be an esoteric Gnostic person. So I would consider myself to be an esoteric Gnostic.
What does esoteric Gnostic mean to you?
I believe that Jesus taught us that God is within us and that we are God. And that we can ascend like he did out of the physical world.
So, you believe in Jesus, but does that mean that you believe the Bible? Or do you believe in other texts?
I believe in the Gnostic texts, such as the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. So I don't believe in
the Gospel of Thomas. Which Gospel of Thomas?
The Gospel of Thomas. It's not in the. It's not canonized.
Gospel of Thomas? There's more than one.
Is there? I wasn't aware of that. Wow.
There's the infancy gospel of Thomas.
Oh wow.
And then there's the sayings gospel, I think is the other one.
It's the sayings one. It's the one with the sayings. It's the one with the sayings.
So, you take those to be Gnostic text, the sayings gospel of Thomas and the gospel of Mary Magdalene, you said?
Also the Gospel of Philip and Judas.
I see. So not something like the Nag Hammadi, something else. What does Gnostic mean to you?
I know the word Gnostic, if I'm correct, it means one who has knowledge. So I believe that gaining the spiritual esoteric knowledge, is what gives us the ability to ascend to the higher frequency and the higher realm.
What do you mean, frequency?
Like, the vibration that you're in, like, there's a low vibration would be a fear, but the high vibration would be happiness, bliss, and
doesn't fear cause like tremoring?
Fear is a low vibration. That's what keeps you attached to the physical world.
In fear, you're not vibrating high enough.
Like people who believe in hell.
How are we measuring these vibrations?
It's based off of how you feel. It's your chakras. It's your chakras. It's like...
What is a chakra?
So basically, you have your root chakra, you have the sacral chakra, solar plexus, heart chakra.
What is a chakra? You're listing chakras. What is a chakra?
They all are basically different things. They're placeholders for energy.
What is energy?
So, oh gosh, that's a little scary. Energy is an eternal force that lives within all of us.
What do you mean by eternal force?
It's always existed.
What do you mean by force?
Oh gosh. I don't know how to explain this any further, really. Wow. I don't know. But...
I was wondering where the I don't know was going to come up. I can appreciate an I don't know. I had one for most of the buzzwords you just went through, but I felt like my thumb would get tired if I went through each one. So I waited for the I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Oh. Of course. That's actually the funniest thing I've ever seen anyone do in my life.
So you don't know what force is?
I don't know how to explain the force. Like, I know what it is in my head. But, like, I don't know how to, like, explain it, like... The energy is the energy placeholders. That's what chakras are.
Chakras are energy placeholders.
And if the energy...
And energy is the force, right?
Yes. Yes. And if it's not in the correct place, then it's out of balance and that lowers your frequency.
How do we know where the correct place is?
So basically, we learn this through the teachings of Krishna.
Krishna?
Yeah. That you have your root chakra, which is if you fear things, then basically that's out of place. And if you have, I'm trying to like dumb it down, like I'm not trying to get into like deep, I'm not trying to get really deep into it, but like the root chakra, for example, it's like if you are fearful of a lot of things, if you have a lot of phobias you've yet to overcome, that could show that that's not a balanced chakra.
Why do you believe any of this chakra root force energy?
What the what's force? It's because personally, I learned about this while studying theology, and I decided I just wanted to try it out and see what's up with it, you know? And I was doing it, and all of a sudden, like, stuff started happening. Like, I was, like, doing the chakras, I was balancing my chakras and trying to balance my chakras using mudras and yoga and certain exercises like sun gazing and moon gazing and third eye gazing and stuff like that. And it was really helping me to become happier and to become more uplifted, and I could just feel I could
I'm
feel
sorry,
it.
I've got to slow you down just a little bit here. So you're saying that you, and we're hearing all the movement you're making too, so it's kind of like rubbing on the microphone.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Here, let me pick this up.
So you're saying that you learned about chakras while studying theology, and then suddenly you were practicing sun gazing.
Yes.
Why?
Buddhism and Christianity and the early Gnosticism, that was the original Christianity. And basically, after learning about that, it was just like
you're saying
enlightening.
was the original Christianity. Where did you
Definitely.
learn that?
I learned it through taking theology classes, and also just like all of those Gnostic texts tend to come before the Gospel of John, which is the only gospel that claims that Jesus is one with the Father. So, I don't know. It's just a little crazy.
Where did they come from?
The apostles that wrote them, such as Mary Magdalene, the wife of Jesus.
Why do you think that?
They're reported multiple times kissing each other. I mean, that's just my personal belief.
I'm asking you why you think Mary Magdalene is the author. Why is Thomas the author?
It's my personal belief.
Do you think these people are? Why?
Well, based off of historic evidence and such.
What historic evidence says that Mary Magdalene wrote the Gospel of Mary Magdalene?
We found it in Egypt.
How does that indicate that it was written by her?
I mean, it's just what I believe in. I mean, like, I'm open to all belief systems. I believe they all bring you to God.
Can you question your beliefs, Mariana?
Of course I can.
Well, that's kind of what we're doing here. So when I ask you why you believe, and you're just saying, well, it's just what I believe. Well, why?
Well, I believe in this because based off of my research, I started to believe in it, and then I started to practice it and put it into practice. So,
is there anything within your research that indicates that Mary Magdalene wrote a gospel?
Yes.
And what is it within your research that indicates that?
We found it in Egypt, and we were able to date it back to a certain time. I think it was
Do you know the date?
Found?
I'm not 100% sure about like what the exact time it was found.
Do you know when they're dated to?
There you go.
I don't know the exact day. Not day, but like year. I don't know the exact.
Well, neither do scholars. They give a window. They give a range.
I know. I don't know I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, the Gospel of Mary is dated. The window is mid to late 2nd century. So it's doubtful that Mary Magdalene was 120 years old or whatever. You know what I mean?
First of all, she could have been. And second of all, of the original.
Are you familiar with the Gospel of Evangelion?
No.
Marcian?
I know there's like over 200 gospels.
There's 40.
There's over 200, but not all of them are like real. Of course, a lot of them are like really, really old, really, really like new and fake. So,
According to the scholarship that I'm aware of, there's 40 Gospels that we're aware of.
I have read that there's over 200.
Where did you read that?
Multiple sources. I don't know
Can
the
you
exact
think
place.
of any one of those sources?
Hold on. I can get you a source right now.
Great. While she gets that, thank you guys for 42,000 likes. I really appreciate all the taps and all those shares. Thank you guys for sharing out the live. If you haven't already, you can hit that bent little arrow at the bottom right corner of your screen and share the live in any of those ways. I like the repost and the add to story, but you can copy the link or just send the live to someone who you think might be curious enough or courageous enough to question their beliefs. And my device is lagging. I'm probably have to reset. I'm not abandoning you. I'll be back.
I'm seeing 200.
And what was the source for that?
Not gonna lie to you. Was ChatGPT. And
Oh,
I'm not
well,
ashamed.
there should be a link to the source that
I told it to summarize.
ChatGPT. Ask it to provide the sources for the summary.
I didn't go far. Yeah, that took the music though when I did go. I think her chat GPT might have suggested that she make a graceful exit.
That's not the source I was hoping for, but it'll do. I am honestly I am fascinated with all of the extra biblical, gospels and acts and other early writings. I think it really it shows the diversity of theology that was happening, all the potentials. Like everybody's imaginations were running wild. The Acts of Peter is pretty wild. This is where they get the story of Peter being crucified upside down. And it is also where we get the story of his flying wizard battle with Simon Magus. It's like a whole anime.
I've heard some of the other Gospels get pretty wild too. Jesus, apparently, in the youth Gospel of Thomas, or the infancy Gospel of Thomas, is where he attacks another child.
Justice for Zeno.
Yeah, very different take on the character of Jesus.
It really goes to show that the character was being developed. They didn't know what this character was until they finally decided what it was. And how fast they moved once they achieved political power, once the winning faction achieved political power, how fast they moved to just completely wipe out everyone else's ideas.
I wonder how much different Christianity would be had some other faction had control of the narrative.
Well, if you think about this, and I was just thinking about this earlier. So, in a way, a lot of the Christians that I encounter in having the conversations in this deconstruction, community, they kind of look at, they've kind of adopted a little bit of that, well, that was the Old Testament God. Like they've adopted just enough of that Gnostic belief of the demiurge character of Adonai, Yahweh, the God of Israel. Like it was depicted, the Gnostics kind of depicted it as the bad guy, like in this actually, the earliest that this shows up is going to be with Marcion. That's why I asked her about Marcion. And they write in antithesis this whole concept of the demiurge, which of course the Gnostics took that and ran with it and took it their own directions as well. But in a way, it did kind of persist, into today's Christianity, because they still see this disconnect between the God of the New Testament and the God of the Old Testament. But they're just calling it the same God.
It is interesting, and I should have had more questions for her about Gnosticism. I'm not sure where they would have taken us, but we do have Martha joining us. Hello, Martha. Did you mean to join us?
Good morning. Yes, I wanted to ask you, because you guys are so knowledgeable about this. All I know about the Gnostic Gospels is what I've seen on programs with other people telling me what it said or giving me their interpretation. Are these writings available to somebody just to research, to read for themselves?
The website that I always go to is called earlychristianwritings.com.
Okay.
And you can find pretty much everything there. And if it's not directly on that website, they'll link you to the text that you can read.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And me myself, I want to know so much more. Like I've barely scratched the surface with it. There's so many writings and so many, you know, it's and a lot of it is incomplete. You know, like most of it is reconstructed. And you know, like they've gone with the fragments that they have, and then what they hear, like early church fathers commenting on it. That's how they've kind of reconstructed it. So you know, it's really interesting though. Like I was just saying, I think it like really paints a picture of how everybody's imaginations were just running wild with this very popular story.
For sure. It does sound fascinating. Thank you. And say that website one more time.
earlychristianwritings.com.
Got it. Okay, I wrote it correctly.
And there's another one called earlywritings.com that you can find a lot of stuff there too.
Very cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Martha. Did you want to dive into questioning your beliefs, or you want to save that for another day?
Well, I went to church today.
Really?
And I certainly haven't been a regular attendee lately, but I enjoyed it. Sometimes I question if I get too excited just because I'm an excitable kind of person. Or if I am too willing to. You know, I was creating a bit of a separation there, and today I seem to swing back the other way to a degree, and I guess was.
Can I ask what's your favorite thing about visiting church?
Well, it varies. Sometimes it's rarely everything on one visit. It's a hit and miss. Sometimes it's like today I found a very enjoyable Sunday school lesson. Some days I got to see my most favorite sisters. Sometimes there'll be one particular testimony or I can't think of the word, congregation member speak that gives a really nice talk. But it's rare that you hit all four engines at once. But today was I appreciate it. I think coming out of the actual scripture I'm familiar with, I really enjoy it, as opposed to coming from the church endorsed prophet, I guess how you'd say that. I don't want to say the wrong thing and get in.
You don't want to get us to question you.
No, I don't want TikTok to get mad at me for saying the wrong words.
Oh, you'll be fine, Martha.
Okay, I don't want to get you guys in trouble. But yeah, I think this is the first time I can remember, and for as long as I can remember, where the lesson came 90% from what I'm more familiar with instead of the Book of Mormon. And I really liked that for some reason.
What is it about the Book of Mormon that allures you to it, that attracts you to it? The story itself.
Well, I've never really had a, this burning desire to become. I don't know. I guess I haven't
The
ever.
burning in your bosom.
Yes, if you
Isn't that
will.
how they describe it that way, right?
Yes.
Tell them, right? And you
And
never had that feeling?
no, I'm not a generational Mormon. I'm a convert, and I never could quite, just in my own head, put the Book of Mormon at the same level as what I grew up on, King James.
Okay, so you never felt that burning in your bosom, and does Mormon teach you that if you don't have that feeling, that you should just pray harder until you get that feeling?
I've never been told that directly, but I'm totally aware of where the emphasis on the emphasis for their foundation is, it seems to me, has always, for the ones that I know that are much more, they're multi-generational, and they're much more familiar with, the Book of Mormon. They are completely comfortable drawing most of their foundation for the church opinions from their book, as opposed to, I don't know if I said that right. To me, it's always seemed like this, the King James was almost like secondary, maybe. Which, I mean, I never found it highly offensive, but I didn't agree with it, and I was, comfortable with just the live and let live kind of approach.
Well, I do believe the Mormon is like it's kind of dependent on the King James translation. It's my understanding, and I'll be honest. Like, I only have a cursory understanding of Mormon theology in general.
I think that's a correct statement. I guess maybe I didn't say it correctly. It seems to me like you are right that it does follow the line, but
So let me ask you real quick. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
you're okay.
If the Book of Mormon, if it starts to fall apart, if the King James translation, what does that mean to you? What would that mean to you? And mind you, my understanding is that the Book of Mormon makes the statement that it is the truest book that has ever been written.
That, and it says that these are an extension of what I've known my whole life, and that they are also, inspired. That prophets, these are, revelations, inspired prophets who wrote this. So I guess my main issue is not so much, their basic following with the Bible is fine, but it seems to me that they seem to put more emphasis on who they feel, on the authors of the Book of Mormon than.
So, what would that mean to you if the translation that the Book of Mormon depends on is flawed? Like, does that weaken the claim that it is the truest book that's ever written?
Oh, it would have to.
Okay.
I mean, I would, that makes sense to me. I mean, if you're relying on what's in there based on your preference of, Joseph Smith over, say, Moses or Daniel or, any of the Bible prophets.
Or Isaiah. That's an important one. And the
Yes.
reason I asked the specific question is because prior to the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, we had the translations that we had were, based on like the Latin Vulgate and all these other translations, but they were all translated through the Greek Septuagint. So all of what you would know as the Old Testament, the Hebrew text, we didn't really have manuscripts of the actual Hebrew text for a lot of these. And upon discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, now we have like a complete Hebrew Isaiah, and that was a game changer. And we saw like what the actual Hebrew words used in certain scriptures were. That it turns out that by the time the King James translation 1611 comes out, they didn't have access to that, and so that's where we see a lot of the translation. Yeah, there's a lot of translation issues with the King James because of that. They did their best. I would say this. They, despite being the fact that that King James himself placed all these parameters that he wanted this Bible to actually be published as this version. Despite that, there's just simply some translation issues that were not even understood at the time that they wrote it. So I think it is an important thing to ask yourself is if King James got some translations wrong that are, I would say, pretty major theological issues that changes the text. So I just think it would be a good idea to question that.
I can believe that, and I think my biggest takeaway from today was my faith has not been undermined so much as my faith in the established church, which is kind of hard for me because, I've had a couple of pretty big hits when it comes to church, the tenets of the church, and just new and different things that I became aware of.
Do you mind sharing an example?
Well, my dear friend and host Thrayle laid a big one on me, which caused a rather huge crisis for me for several weeks. He was speaking of 2 Nephi chapter 5 and the what the Mormons so clearly believe to be revelation to a prophet who, wrote it down like it's just, from God's lips. And when I found out, some pretty really just contradictory basic beliefs with what I had established beliefs, it messed me up big time. And I had been struggling trying to even decide if I wanted to go back. I asked to be released from my calling. It took me forever to go back to church. and not be grumbly and grumpy and,
You
you
even had a
know,
meeting with the bishop.
pardon?
I said you even had a meeting with the bishop.
Oh, yes, sir, I did. Which was not very satisfactory, so it didn't do anything to sway me in that direction. And it bothered me. It hurt my soul to feel that there was really darn good reason to be questioning some of these core beliefs. And I left today feeling like, no, you don't have to tear yourself apart because you don't agree with this. If it doesn't make sense, and it seems a bit, I don't know, the word that comes to mind is theatrical, which probably isn't really the appropriate word, but it's all that's coming to my mind at this moment. And I left feeling like, it's okay. You can decide this isn't, it's not working itself out in my head anymore, and I don't have to be miserable about it.
That's good. Do you think that Everlasting's been asking you about the King James Version. Do you think that the King James Version, the Bible you were brought up with before the Book of Mormon, do you think that that still holds the most truth about your God?
For me, I would say yes. I definitely understand that it's not a full and complete, it's not a documentary, and I shouldn't feel like I have to believe all or believe none.
You feel like you can just believe the parts of Christianity that bring you comfort?
See, that's what's so hard for me. Until I met you and your lovely group of listeners, I was much more, even knowing that there have been so many new documents discovered, I was still pretty willing to, if it's written, especially if it's written in red, it was part of my core. It can be believed. And now I seem to be coming off that a little bit, which in its own sucks, because then it's like, well, then I'm not even a good believer, what I do believe. Did I say that right? Did that make any sense?
It did. You feel like you're not a good believer because you question even the things you do.
From a believer standpoint, yes. I don't want to just, fall for the next dog and pony show either. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
From a thinking for myself, it seems to be, I don't know.
I think the thinking for yourself looks pretty good on you. I think you wear it well, Martha.
Oh, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Thank you. That's so kind. You guys helped me do some pretty serious thinking. It kind of sucked at first, but I feel better for it.
I'm really glad to hear that.
I wish I could Go ahead. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm curious about something. Is it peculiar? Do you find it peculiar that within like the structure of the community of believers, do you find it peculiar that questioning isn't seen as a virtue? Like, do you get the sense that they discourage questioning?
To a degree, yes. And I say that based on the one time I actually made an appointment with, the head fella and sat down and had a one-on-one riddle me this session.
Did he make you feel like a bad believer, as you said earlier, for questioning?
To a degree, how much of it was intentional, I don't know, but he definitely made me feel that I was less informed, and what I had decided in my own thinking process was just not an intelligent, it was not the intelligent conclusion to, like the answers I had reached were wrong.
Well, it sounds like the questions were wrong. It sounds like the questions were what were being responded to. Like if you're questioning, yeah. And wouldn't if being less informed means not asking questions? I mean, how do you become informed? It's by asking questions, right?
Well, I think he was mainly trying to say that my reading, when I sat down in my nice quiet little room with my cup of tea and I read what I read, that what I deduced from that was the wrong conclusion. And that he could tell me, the right conclusion, like what I had read. Now, that's not what that says. This is what it says. Which, to me, I didn't go for an argument. I went for clarification. And basically telling me, I have no reading skills really wasn't very satisfying.
Right. You must have misread it. You didn't understand. The words on the page were not what words on the page are.
Yes, that. So it wasn't a very satisfactory question and answering period.
Well, I think that was courageous of you nonetheless.
Oh, I agree. I think it was very courageous.
Well, I don't see myself signing up for another one of those for in the near future.
I don't blame you at all. I still think it was courageous.
Well, thank you. That's very kind.
Well, I'm glad that you found a way to still enjoy it and still find.
I'm going to hang in for a while more and, keep keeping on for a little bit and see how things go. But should anything change, I'll give you a call.
I'll have more questions for you when you do.
Lovely. Thanks, you guys. Have a great night. I'm going to keep listening.
Thank you, Martha. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Big W's for Martha in the chat. She does very well at questioning her beliefs. And I didn't burgle her God. She's perfectly welcome to keep that. As you can see, I'm not here burgling anybody's gods. I'm just here to see if you can question your beliefs. Then what is it that you believe, and why do you believe it? I see a couple of people in queue here. Oh, before I do bring up any new questioneers, before I bring up somebody new to question, I need to make sure I thank Philly Red Root. Also, Delilah's Scissors, Toad Modu, KD, Danny Grax, Dash, Thayu, Jace, and Martha. Thank you guys so much for helping with the previous goal. Really do appreciate you. And I am not sure who's been in the queue the longest, so I will try to bring you up in the order you requested, but I may miss. And of course, most of you are ghosts anyways, so that works out. Good evening, Hazelnut. Hope you're doing well. Oh, there we go. We do have a guest. Hello, Stan. Can I get your age for TikTok TOS?
28.
And do you have a belief in a god or God's higher power or anything like that?
So I was raised Christian, but I deconstructed out of that, and the most I have is like maybe like a vague concept of like a collective consciousness that we might be able to all tap into at some point, but no like creator or anything like that.
So, no creator, but I'm sorry, what was the thing you said we
Some
could
type of
tap into?
I feel like there's some type of consciousness that connects all human beings together.
What does that mean? What is consciousness?
I don't know. It's like the words that the hippies use to explain like what you feel like when you're on mushrooms.
So there's a connection of some kind.
Yeah, and like that's what we would call like spiritual. That is what, just like that's what we're labeling this particular feeling.
Why do you think there is this connection?
Probably to empathy and all that kind of stuff.
No, I'm sorry. I'm not asking why you think it exists, like what reason its purpose is. I'm asking, why do you believe it?
Oh, so when I was deconstructing from Christianity, I looked into like Buddhism, and so I did a lot of meditation, did a lot of LSD and mushrooms and that type of stuff, and experienced the particular thing that I'm talking about. Recognize that it doesn't really come. I don't think it really comes from any type of
So
being.
you experienced the thing you're talking about.
Yeah, like so, like the feeling of connectedness with the rest of the universe and with the rest of all humankind.
The feeling.
Yeah. Have you ever done mushrooms?
I'm not here to answer your questions, but when you say the feeling of connectedness, are you saying that there was necessarily a connection, or could it have been a feeling in your mind, a frame of thinking, a thing that you felt?
It probably, I mean, it most likely is just like the chemical reactions in your brain. But when you're like experiencing it, it feels like it's more than that. You know what I mean?
Right. It feels like it's more than that.
I'd say it like it would be like the same feeling I would get when I was a Christian and like I'd be in church, and you thought that you were like feeling the Holy Spirit, that type of thing. So that's why I've like retreated back to maybe it's like some type of interconnected consciousness or something that we all tap into because everyone seems to kind of like feel the same thing throughout different religions, whether it's meditating or prayer or whatever. They all kind of tap into that same feeling.
Same or similar?
I guess you could say similar because I don't know if you could say it's exactly the same. I've only experienced it through a Christian framework, a Buddhist framework, a Hindu framework, and then a non-believing framework.
So if it's a similar feeling, and the feeling is that an emotion, a connection, a sort of chemical reaction in your brain.
Yeah.
And what about that indicates that there's any actual connection?
It's honestly, it's one of those things that are like really hard to describe without an experiential part of it because it just like you can describe the basic parts of it and you can relate to what it normally feels like, but it's at such a heightened level, especially when it's like chemically induced, that it just feels like it's outside of just your brain.
In what way is it outside of your brain?
As in, like, you will experience being outside of your brain. You know what I mean? Through certain meditation and certain.
Could that not be imagined?
Yeah, it definitely could be. It could be hallucination.
So if it's imagined hallucinations, if it's perceptions that are assumed rather than actually attained, then how does any of that indicate there's communication?
I don't know.
Just want to believe.
It's something that I would like a more solid explanation for, so it'd be easier to determine. Like if there's a naturalistic explanation for it, it's easier for me to grasp hold of that than trying to hold on to a mystical version.
A natural explanation.
Yeah.
Does it not seem that you kind of have multiple natural explanations within reach?
I don't know. Like I said, it's really hard to explain how it actually feels. So it feels like it can't be natural. It feels like what you hear described as supernatural. That's what you can map it onto that.
But you're talking about chemically induced states.
Sure. And you can get to it through meditation, but I imagine that is releasing this because it's like through breathing techniques and stuff like that.
So if you're altering your brain resulting experience would be due to the altered brain chemistry. So I'm not sure how there's any implication.
I guess the other aspect that I'm adding on to it, let me try to think how to explain.
Okay. I guess he was thinking of how to explain. While he thinks about that, we'll pull up another guest, I guess. If anybody does have a belief in a god or God's higher power or anything like that, and you're curious enough or courageous enough to question your beliefs, then go ahead and request on up.
maybe he will astral project back onto the panel.
Right. It could happen. It's possible, according to some of our previous guests who thought everything is possible. I was surprised we got that far into a hallucinogenics conversation. Cat didn't appear, so I'm gonna guess that means Cat passed out.
Sleeping with the peepers.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna guess this one's a ghost, too. Yep, ghosts, all ghosts. Look at that. Look at that. You say the name and then they appear.
I did not pass out. The volcano swallowed my cell phone service. Thank you very much. And I walked back in to. I can't believe we got that far, like literally the beginning of the sentence. I can't believe we got that far into a hallucinogenics conversation and Cat didn't appear. I can't believe it either.
You missed the whole thing.
I probably would have been annoyed by it anyway.
You probably would have.
Or none of this is real, and you've just imagined all of it.
He might still come back. He kind of disappeared while he was thinking of a way to reframe an answer. I think, unless that was just his way of...
Had he unlocked all the secrets of the world on hallucinogenics? Is that what happened?
No, it just felt a connection. Just there was a feeling of a connection. Yeah, no, it was barely a belief. It was more of a just connection.
Yeah, he didn't seem very married to it.
Like, my thing about those people is I get it. Like, I really get it a lot. Like, I understand the feeling, but you can't base your worldview on something you experience when you get a bunch of substance.
But if you get a feeling...
Right.
I always find it kind of, the idea that you can manipulate the brain, whether it's through chemicals or through breath work or whatever. This is manipulation of the brain, the physical brain. How you escape the brain. Like the comment he made about, being outside of his brain, having the feeling of being outside of his brain when, this is done by utilizing the brain. It just, I never really understand that.
I think it's really interesting, this idea of like escaping the brain or escaping. I perceive it to be is you're like just burying yourself and you're reaching all the way back into those like unknown parts of your brain that you don't usually get. I don't know how much of you have heard, because I just realized I have bars. Okay, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, you've been...
I deciphered most of it.
Okay, am I back? Once again, I understand this like kind of feeling of outside yourself or having a like experience of being outside yourself, but like interesting to me to view this or to experience this as like a form of escaping the brain or escaping the self because the self twist like it's like the opposite of that, like not leaving myself but like really getting into it.
And I think another part of it is I understand how it's kind of a natural human thing to be attracted to mystery and mystique and mysticism. You know, like I see the allure there. And I think that makes it easier to draw a line from, you know, normal natural phenomena to, you know, unknown explanations.
Well, it's more that way, you know. And because of the brain's state, you know,
So many
bars. The weather's been so bad. The rain, the rain just eats it.
And
Eats
now,
itself on
yeah.
service.
Well, but when you explain that, when you say that, you're coming through clear.
Yeah. Right. That the rain just eats it when it's been raining for so many days. I say this because it's my like sober brained understanding of what's happening, but I do have several recollections of several times where I have been just like a formless like cloud of consciousness wandering through the fabric of reality, like no sense of the self or the brain or, you know, any of that. So like, you know, but I don't know. I've always felt very like connected to myself or like connected to something higher, except for the one time that the entity told me that nihilism was the answer. That's a very abbreviated version of this story. That was an interesting conversation.
The entity told you that nihilism was the answer. It's kind of like when I had that one conversation with God and he convinced me he didn't exist.
Kinda, yeah. It's raining really hard now.
Have you ever watched Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia?
No, I haven't.
It was a series on Hulu, I think is where I watched it. But he's a young chemistry nerd. Like he loves chemistry, and he specializes in psychotropic medicine and really breaking down the chemistry. And he'll go like visit with somebody that like is really into this particular substance and spend time with them and go through the whole process and experience and then explain it, the the chemical molecular structure of the substance and how it's interacting with the synapses of the brain. It was really educational. I enjoyed it.
What is that called?
Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia. Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia.
So fun, actually.
I think you would really enjoy it.
I would. There's these books, they're called P-Call and T-Call, and that stands for, phenethylamines I've known and loved and tryptamines I've known and loved. And so it's this like chemist guy who just like dedicated his life to making these things in his like backyard alchemy shed, and him and his friends would like he would test them, and then him and his wife, and then if they deemed them like good enough, there's a whole like group of friends, and they would like do it, test it, and like a lot of like not a lot. He made so many things, but a lot of the like there's a lot of things that we do today that came from this person doing this. And it was like it was a endeavor to find ways, because he was a psychopharmacologist by by trade. Like that's like what he did. He was like a pharmacology chemist, and he like made it his life's endeavor to find out like better ways to treat the brain and to make like, heal like our mental health bad, and like that was like his life's endeavor was to do this, and that's what he did. And it's just like a really cool story, and a really interesting like it's 2 books. They're really interesting books and really interesting story. His name was Alexander Shulgin, and yeah, it's really cool. And like the special edition of the books, like there's all these like photos and like letters written, because like the special edition of the books came out right after he died, which was like fairly recently, in the last 15 years or so. But there's like all these photos and these like letters from people that like knew him, worked with him, and everything. And he just seems like he was a very beautiful person. Like all of this reads like he was a very nice, like kind, wonderful person. And it's like kind of a wonderful story if you're into like clandestine chemistry and and stuff. But it's cool. Yeah. That's what that reminded me of, though.
I think the thing I learned mostly was that for at least 30 or more seconds, Cat does not look at the screen. Sometimes longer.
Sometimes no, I don't look at the screen. Oh, sorry. Yeah, here's the thing. Sometimes I'm talking and I'm not looking at the screen because I get distracted and I lose my train of thought. Also, I don't speak Hawaii. I mean, I'd like to. I speak a little bit, like here and there, but not really. There was a question that was asked to me a few minutes ago.
Oh.
Yeah, in the chat. The last time I looked at the screen, I saw that.
I swapped the alien and Santa.
Oh, nice. That's dope. I like that.
I tried it with the mermaid. You only really see her torso because she hides behind text. So, the alien works a little better.
I imagine the mermaid would look even more out of place, like, in the back center than she already does.
Mm-hmm. I did, in trying to come up with a new image, have one generate where everything's just a little brighter, a little more flashy, and the mermaid has, like, a kid's wading pool underneath her.
Oh, good!
So the Mothman's gone, and you see a wading pool under the mermaid.
There's a wading pool under the mermaid. That's nice for her.
So at least that mystery has finally been explained.
The mermaid deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Anything to highlight the mermaid more?
I will, maybe I'll make that one as a background too, so you can see it. I don't know if it should be a what the fuck or just another can you question, but yeah, it's just a little more flashy with the same background.
I think the reason I disliked the opium den so much the first time was because I was really thrown off by the vibe. But now that I've settled into it, I think it's one of my favorites.
To clarify, you're talking about the musical segue provided by Michael V, right?
Yeah, no, I would know. Yeah, I know you wouldn't ever catch me in a real one of those. I wouldn't like that at all. But
We may pull out a segue again here in a little bit. I haven't used any of the music, the songs.
Hello?
Tonight.
Hello?
Hello? Somebody
Can you hear me?
okay.
Am I working?
Yeah, we can hear you. But also, I was talking, so it's a little bit rude to just kind of jump in like that. Can I get your age for TikTok TOS?
Yeah, I'm 20 years old.
Well, that explains the rudeness. So do you have a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything like that?
Yeah, I do.
And what god do you believe in?
I believe in one God. One God, one all-powerful God.
Which one all-powerful god is that?
The God of Islam.
The God of Islam. Have you read your Quran from beginning to end?
I've read, I'll say, 80% of it.
In English or Arabic?
Arabic.
You've read 80% of it in Arabic, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And do you understand that 80% that you have read?
Depending on how you define understanding it. Like, understanding the message is giving, I understand that, but like fully knowing what the context and all that stuff, not yet.
So, thank you, Martha. Do you believe what you understand of the message?
Yeah, I believe I believe everything I understand of the Quran, yeah.
I see. What are the 5 pillars of Islam?
The 5 pillars of Islam are to pray, Hajj once a year, fast, give zakat, and the last one is what was it? I forgot. The last one is,
It's usually the first one.
I already said pray, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm tripping. Hold on.
Shahada.
Most important one I forgot. That's my fault. Yeah, Shahada.
What's Shahada?
Shahada is wordly, with words, saying that you believe there's one God and Muhammad is the last messenger, peace be upon him.
It's your declaration of faith, right?
Yeah, in words, orally.
How often do you declare it?
It's a supplication. So you're supposed to say it when you wake up, before in the midday, before you go to sleep. It's called a adhkar, which is a supplication. So yeah, you can say it, and you can say it anytime. You get good deeds for it.
And what is the Shahada? Like, what are you supposed to say?
You want me to say it?
I'm not asking for like your verbatim Shahada, but yeah, what is the message that you're supposed to declare?
So in Arabic it says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu rasulullah.
What is it?
Which
What
means
is that in English?
I bear witness that there is one God, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the slave and final messenger of God.
Final messenger of God.
The last messenger. Or the messenger. You could say the messenger.
So, you bear witness that there is one God and Muhammad is his messenger.
Yes.
That's the Shahada.
Yes.
That you're supposed to say. What are you bearing witness to? How are you bearing witness?
I'm bearing witness that I believe that there's one God, and I'm going to follow and believe that the messenger is believe the messenger and his message's words.
What does it mean to be you're bearing witness?
Like, I'm declaring, I'm saying.
You're saying it.
No, I'm declaring it.
You're declaring it.
Yeah.
So you're declaring that there is one God. Not saying.
I'm declaring that I witnessed. Yeah.
How did you witness?
I declare that I witnessed this one.
What did you witness?
I'm declaring that I witness that there's one God. I bear witness to there's one God. And Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last messenger.
How did you bear witness that there is a God?
Yeah, I got you, bro. To provide evidence. Bear witness means to provide evidence, testimony, or confirmation of the fact or truth. Yeah, so I provided testimony that there is one God and Muhammad is a messenger.
So you're not saying that you witnessed the God?
I witnessed the effects of God. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I witnessed like the effects of God in my life, how God like made this world, how he created everything, and how stuff works.
What do you mean these are the effects of God, though? How do you know these are the effects of God?
Like the things God do.
The things God do.
Yeah, I've witnessed those things. Some of those things.
How do you know that gods do those things?
Because, for example, if you pray to God for something, and that came true, I witnessed that I prayed to God, and that came true.
So you're saying that every time you've prayed to God, it has always come true?
No. But when I prayed, sometimes when I've prayed, it came true.
Are there times you've prayed and it didn't come true?
Yes, of course.
So then how is this witnessing God?
According to my religion and the hadith or the account of the Prophet, it says that if your prayer is not accepted in this worldly life, it will be accepted after this life, or you will get that in the end.
So whatever you prayed for, even if it's like, something worldly, you're not going to get it here if it didn't come true. But it's still going to come true in the other world, where the worldliness of it won't matter.
Yeah, so if your prayer is righteous, if you do it with the right intention, if you do it by actually seeking.
What do you mean by right intention?
If you do it with the intention of goodness, like God give me.
What is goodness?
Like give me a good spouse, God. Give me a good house. Give me a good life.
What is goodness?
Goodness is synonym of badness.
A synonym of badness.
Synonym of bad.
You mean antonym?
Antonym. Well, English is not my first definition.
What is bad?
English is not my first language, I should say. My fault.
You're doing all right, 51. What is bad?
Bad is not good.
Oh, really?
So goodness
supporting
is state or quality.
So
okay, yeah. Goodness is morally virtuous, and badness is morally not virtuous or
Whose morals?
like general human morals,
There's general human morals.
human morality. Yeah.
Human morality. Humans have a single morality.
No, morality that applies to humans.
So,
Who decides?
morality.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Philly.
Who decides this morality?
God. You heard me?
How do you know what God's decisions on morality are?
By his words, by his words in the Quran, and by the wahi he gave to the Prophet.
How do you know the words in the Quran are his?
Faith.
So you just believe it. You don't have a reason to.
Faith and proof, because there's a lot of evidence that show that this couldn't be written. This couldn't be written by a man 1400 years ago.
Evidence.
Yeah, evidence.
What evidence?
Okay, I got you. I was thinking of one, but
Are you Googling evidence for the Quran?
yeah, because there's words not. I'm not I haven't memorized the whole Quran yet, so I don't know exact ayahs. You know what I'm saying?
Are you familiar with any problems in the Quran? Any things that would cause you to question your belief?
No.
None whatsoever.
And back to the before we move on, we're talking about the proofs of the Quran. There's embryology, which is
So
human
when you say
development.
embryology, where in the Quran does it talk about embryology?
I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up for you. Surah Mu'minun and Surah Hajj.
And what does it say?
It says in Surah Mu'minun, it says and certainly in 23:12, and certainly did we create man from an extract of clay, then we placed him as that's just the ayah before. Then we placed him as a sperm drop in a firm lodging. Then we made
firm lodging.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Then we made the sperm drop into a clinging clot, and we made
the clinging clot.
Yeah. So basically, the egg.
Keep going.
And we made
of flesh.
And
I'm
we
just
made.
taking note.
Yeah, and we made from the lump bones, and we covered the bones with flesh.
So
and then we developed him into another creation. So blessed is Allah.
Okay, so before you keep going, so just to clarify, the order that you just gave was clay, sperm, clot, lump of flesh, and then bone with flesh wrapped around it.
Yep.
So, and you're saying that this clay, sperm, clot, lump, bone describes embryology.
Yeah.
How does this relate to embryology in any way whatsoever?
So just the ayahs 23 and 13 and 23:14 are talking about literally, or no, I shouldn't say literally, are talking about scientifically.
Why?
23:12 is it's what we believe specifically.
I'm sorry. So it's not scientific, and then it is, and then it isn't, and then it is.
Scientifically, we are
from not even verse to verse, just line to line, word to word.
like scientifically, we're not made of clay, right?
So then, how does that relate to embryology?
But we are made of clay, according to my religion. Like we are our base material is clay.
How does any of this become scientific proof? If it says you're made of clay and you're not made of clay, then where's the science?
The science, okay, so there's a difference between spiritual, like there's a difference between like spiritual understanding and scientific understanding. Like spiritually, you can't prove it with scientific things. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Like you can't prove God.
Stop.
Okay.
Philly has questions.
Are you saying that spiritually we are made from clay?
Literally, we're made from clay, but you can't prove it with science.
Literally, we are made from clay. How do you know literally we are made from clay?
Because in the Quran it says that the angels gathered clay from the earth and created humanity from that. And created the first human from that.
So, you are made from clay, or the first human is made from clay, or both?
Both.
So how are you made from clay?
Because that clay, I'm not, I shouldn't say, I'm not in a permission to like go in depth to this because I'm not a scholar. Like I don't have a deeper understanding of the Quran. I'm just going off the surface because the clay that he was made from, we were all in his back. Like every human or his wife was made from his back, right? His backbone.
His backbone?
Yeah. His wife was made from his back.
Whose wife?
Adam's wife.
Adam's
and
wife
I think this
was
is in
made
the
from
Bible
his
too.
backbone.
I think this is in the Bible too, yeah. I think both of them have
it's
the
his
cover.
backbone.
Yeah, it's his bone. Okay, hold on. Let me make sure because I'm not.
How does that have to do with clay?
Because like we're all made from the same material as him, so yeah. Oh, yo, it's yeah, my fault. It's his ribs, not his backbone. His ribs. And this is in the Quran and the Bible.
That humans are made from clay?
No, that Eve is made from Adam's rib.
But the clay part, yeah, we're all made of clay.
What is clay?
Like, the verse says that the angel went down and grabbed different clay from different places in the earth and found the best clay from every place on earth, combined it, and made the Adam out of that.
What do you have a definition for clay?
You know what clay is.
I know what clay is. I know that my body is not clay.
It was mud, dust, primarily refers to the creation of first human Adam rather than biological formation. Yeah, so the first human was made from clay, and the rest of the humans are made from the same material as him. But it's not like a clay that you think of, you know what I'm saying? It's
That's
more
what I'm
like
trying to ask. That's what I'm trying to ask what you mean by clay.
Yeah, it's like you can't say physically God exists, right?
Are you saying this is not physical clay? Can you answer Philly's question what clay is?
It's physical clay, but to us it's like what's this called? Skin. You know what I'm saying? Normal skin. So it's a type of it's
Sorry, what is normal skin?
skin, the conjunction of cells that we have on our body, the collection of cells that make up skin.
So there's clay like dirt, and there's clay like skin. Are they different kinds of clay?
We're made out of the same clay as the first human.
But my skin is this same clay?
Yeah, so spiritually we're made of clay.
So it's not literally.
Like you have to believe in it. It's literally and spiritually. Like you have to believe in it. You know what I'm saying?
What is spiritual?
Spiritually, like not literally. No, I shouldn't say not literally. Not physically. Opposite of physically.
Opposite
What is
of
the
physically.
opposite?
Or beyond physically.
What does that mean?
Like I'm hitting something, rather than I'm like hitting like I'm hitting something in my head, or I don't know how to say it. Like I know it. I know what it means in my head, but I don't know how to explain it. You know what I'm saying?